You have hopes and dreams and goals that you want that you haven't achieved yet. You disagree with me. It makes no logical sense. So if you disagree with me, just ask yourself, do you have $50 million in the bank? If you don't, then look, one of us is dumb and it ain't me. I know I'm stepping on some toes, but I want you to achieve your hopes and dreams. I want you to wake up, feeling ecstatic about today, feeling great no matter where you are, that you have a feeling that you're going to achieve your dreams. So we're going to have Marshall on in just a little bit, and stay tuned for that. Hopefully we'll get our videotape fixed. If not today, what's today, Friday? Yeah, Monday. If not today, we'll hopefully have it fixed on Monday. We shall see. All right. This is news you're not hearing in the mainstream media, and this is an interesting story. This will be up on our website, ktradionetwork.com. I have a lot to talk about. I'm not going to get to it today, obviously, but the weekend show, tomorrow's show, 3 hours. I'm going to get to a lot of stuff. New Nixon tapes, documents released from Watergate era, newly released audio tapes, and secret documents from the Richard Nixon Presidential Library show a president obsessed with controlling the media. Remember I told you that all media is controlled by the government? That they pretty much follow what the government orders them to do, and that the CIA is embedded in all media? Fox News, yes, Fox News, your favorite news channel. CNN. You can't believe it, that these guys on CNN and MSNBC and ABC are actually, because they're good actors. You can't believe that they're being told what to say, that they're just reading the teleprompter. They just want to keep their job. They're actors, man. They're actors. This shows it again. And what media agency is going to report this? What media agency? Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. I'm being controlled by the government. That's proven now by secret documents and audio tapes revealed from President Nixon. It now proves that the government controls what I say. Do you think he's going to say that? I don't think so. This article goes on to talk about some of the things to show you what real politicians say. And this is what this whole WikiLeaks thing is about. If you notice with WikiLeaks, they have 1 million documents from the government documents. They have documents coming out now from banks and corporations. And the whole story is about how dare this guy leak these secret documents. He's a traitor. Well, first off, he's not a U.S. citizen, so he can't be a traitor. He should be charged with treason. You can't charge a non-U.S. citizen with treason. He should be charged with espionage. He didn't steal anything. He's a publisher. There's no espionage charges that you can legitimately file. You can do anything you want, pay off a judge, and sure, find him and convict him. All he's doing is publishing documents which prove that the government lies. They never talk about what's in these documents, do they? They never tell you what the documents say. The documents say that there are aliens here, that we have spacecraft, that we're in communication with them. The documents say that our government bribes and pays off corporate executives and politicians around the world. That's what the documents say. Our documents say that our government officials and foreign government officials steal money and put it in secret Swiss bank accounts. That's what it says. It says that we in Afghanistan to control the heroin, the poppy fields. That's what the documents say. It say that we're in Iraq to control the oil. That's what the documents say. It says that the British government lied when it released the Lockerbie bomber, because the British government said, no, Libya didn't, there was no oil deal. They lied. It shows that Gaddafi and the British government made a deal for oil if the British government released the Lockerbie bomber. It shows that the British government categorically 100% lied, let a murderer go free because they made an oil deal with Gaddafi of Libya. It shows that these guys are liars and they are corrupt. No one is reporting what the documents say and what the documents prove. It's all about the fact that this guy released them, and he's an evil person. The government documents prove that the media is controlled by the government. No one in the media is going to say that. So they have a conflict of interest. The media does, because they don't want people to see these documents either, because it shows how corrupt they are. This Nixon documents say, in a taped conversation about the American Indian standoff at Wounded Knee, South Dakota, Nixon calls for military action. This is the President of the United States. And listen to this. This is what Nixon said. And I'm quoting. I will curse just a little because this is Nixon cursing. I'm reading the quote. This is Nixon speaking on tape. I think we ought to move in tanks. The whole goddamn thing. Put a goddamn division in there if necessary. It's time for action on it. If some Indians get shot, that's too goddamn bad. If some Americans get shot, that's too goddamn bad. End quote. President Nixon. First off, President Nixon doesn't realize that Indians are Americans. How sad is that? He says if some Indians get shot, that's too goddamn bad. If some Americans get shot, that's too goddamn bad. You've heard me say on this show that I've been in board meetings of drug companies and corporate executives where the senior executives said, F them, let them die. Who cares if they die? It's too bad if people die. That's just what's going to have to happen. We're not going to lose billions of dollars in profits. Let them die. Here we have the United States of America saying, I don't care if people die. Do you see how crazy this is? Nixon writes in a memo, a confidential secret memo. He says, make sure we talk to our, and he puts it in quotes, friendly reporters. Friendly reporters are reporters who are secretly on the government payroll or CIA operatives who do exactly what the government says. So Nixon says, make sure you talk to our, quote, friendly reporters, end quote. He said, make sure that they know that I only take a 5-minute meal break during the day, and I never have social dinners at night. Make sure that they realize and report that this gives me more time for reading and long-range thinking. Use them to get this message across. The president is admitting that there are reporters who are secret CIA operatives and on the government payroll and will report and do whatever the government says. This whole story is going to be on our website at ktradionetwork.com, and it's just the tip of the iceberg. It's the tip of the iceberg about the corruption. Now, what does this tell you? When I talk about things, I need to wake you up so that you take action to correct it. The good news is you have the ability to correct it. What type of action should you take? When you go to the polls, stop voting for Democrats and stop voting for Republicans. End of story. That's the magic right there. And when you can, stop buying stuff from big publicly traded corporations. It's impossible. You can't do that all the time. But do the best you can. Even if you switch 10% of your purchases to local merchants, it's going to have a dramatic impact on what happens. A dramatic. Hey, stop going to Walmart. Look at some options here. When you go to Walmart, if it says made in China, look for something that's made in the United States from a local merchant. Somebody that's a small, not international corporation. This will make a huge impact. When you buy supplements, buy from local. When you buy food, buy from local. Food is a huge industry, and 40% of our economy is, quote, healthcare, which is drug care. Stop using drugs. This is really key and important. Now, we get some other reports here. Again, Kevin was right file. Selenium eases asthma. University of Maryland study finds that selenium deficiency leads to asthma. So by supplementing your diet with selenium, asthma goes away. You see, all diseases are caused by nutritional deficiencies or toxins. I've been talking about this for a while, this next story. Sleep cuts body fat. You've heard me say this over and over and over and over again. Getting the proper amount of sleep every night will help you lose fat. That's the new dream diet, discovered by University of Chicago researchers. Overweight men and women, dieters, were studied for 2 separate 2-week periods in a sleep lab. In the weeks where they were allowed to sleep 5.5 hours a night, the subjects lost mostly muscle mass. But in the weeks in which they got 8.5 hours of sleep, they lost almost 100% fat. Sleep is a key to keeping your muscles strong and helping you burn fat. And the time you sleep is also key, which this study doesn't talk about, but it's true. The body releases human growth hormone between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. So if you are one of these, I had a girlfriend, we were dating, and she was a night owl. She wouldn't go to bed until 2 o'clock in the morning. And then she'd get up at, 7. So about 5 hours a night sleep. And she was an exercise fanatic, athlete, and she couldn't understand how come she couldn't lose fat and how come she was getting weaker and losing muscle. And I said to her, look, let's go to bed I go to bed early. You should go to bed at 10 o'clock and get up at 6. This way you get 8 hours of sleep and your body will develop human growth hormone. So she tried this for about 3 months. Her body, by doing nothing else, unbelievably and radically and dramatically changed. She didn't lose any weight, but she lost so much fat, hips, thighs, buttocks, and her muscle mass increased. She leaned out dramatically. Her clothes were all loose. Her figure and physique looked better than ever you can imagine. Her strength and vitality went up, and she looked 10 years younger because her face started developing more collagen in the skin. Lines went away. She didn't have that tired, haggard look. She had more energy, more vitality. It was dramatic just by getting sleep, the correct amount of sleep, and doing the right amount of time. So those stories will be up on the website as well. Dr. Oz, you must be reading my book. Dr. Oz put out some things directly from my book, Natural Cures They Don't Want You to Know About, which is amazing. And there's an article that says, Tips from Dr. Oz. Mother Nature wants to boost your brain, and you can help her do the job. This goes on to talk about how your brain wasn't designed to withstand a constant barrage of digital data from your cell phone, BlackBerry, and the internet. The constant data that you're inputting via all these electronic devices, the social networks, the instant messaging, the text messaging, the cell phones, the Google searches, this constant barrage of data actually clogs brain cells and prevents them from consolidating memories and processing information. Now, this goes on to talk about how your brain is actually becoming less capable of rational thinking because of the barrage from the internet and the digital data, and that you type everything as opposed to writing. It's slowing your brain down and, most importantly, affecting your memory. You can't remember anything. You can't recall stuff. And people today are the dumbest people I've ever met in my life. I go into board meetings, and I'm sitting there with 5 or 6 executives, and I ask them simple questions. They can't remember. They can't remember numbers. They can't remember dates, places, people, what would happen in other meetings. They're constantly going into their computer trying to find notes or files. They can't remember anything. And I'm sitting there, and I'm not focused on any of these areas. But I can remember all the stuff. I ask them a question, they can't remember it, I give them the answer. I ask somebody else a question, he can't remember. And he's only